So welcome back. I just released a video that's a little less serious, talking about the inceptions of what I had the last 30 years with a cylinder head design. Everything right now is being talked about, both yesterday with the remembrance of the anniversary of 9/11 and following the attack, the execution against Charlie Kirk. Now, people forget fairly easily how we can be led down a different route from the actual facts. What we're being told, what we take into consideration, so on and so forth. So this is going to be a video of conspiracy theory. I'm admitting that right now. I want to try to back up the conspiracy theory with facts. Okay, so for a very short time, the actual footage of Charlie Kirk being shot, especially from somebody within close proximity to him, was very ugly. Okay, many people cannot even stomach the sight, so on and so forth. It was a tragedy. It is something that's going to cause multiple things to change in our country, the stances and tolerances of the individuals, so on and so forth, of our population. But that's not the part of this video I want to get into. In videos that I've released here, I've talked about the different calibers of rifle, because I'm interested in the performance of things that move, whether it be air through an intake system or piston designs. That's all related to within our firearms. There's combustion chamber pressures, so on and so forth. There's twist. All of that type of mechanical engineering interests me. So I'm also very interested in firearms. Now with that, for anybody that doesn't know, watch this channel. I was the designated marksman for a unit called FAST Company, which stands for Fleet Anti-Terror Security Team within the United States Marine Corps. Out of 64 individuals, I was chosen because of my rifle scores. I was picked to go and compete within the Marine Corps shooting leagues and to go to designated marksman school. Now, there is a difference between a sniper and designated marksman. Okay, let's make that very clear. They have two totally different mission purposes. A sniper normally works on their own with a two-man team. They're there to basically assassinate somebody, so on and so forth, to take out a valuable target. They're also used to collect information, with snipers being part of Marine Corps recon. They're there to collect reconnaissance, and if they have the opportunity to take out a valuable target, they are given that responsibility. A designated marksman works in three different teams of two, so three sniper teams, if you want to call them that are there to support an invasion unit. So they will also collect intel, give that intel to their SWAT team, basically, to describe the situation in a rural environment, some of the things that are going on, to help direct them and make plans for their execution. So I was a designated marksman, so I worked with multiple sniper units to back up our invasion force. Now, out of that, I was trained with the M1 Grand, okay, calibered in 308 or 7.62. I was also trained with other rifle platforms such as the Remington 700 bolt action rifle, calibered in 30-06. And obviously, as a Marine, anybody in the military, I was also trained with the semi-automatic M16. So we're going to get into conspiracy theories of what's being told by us right now with the media. And as I said, these conspiracy theories. Remember, folks, going back 50 years ago, we're also told by other intelligence agencies who shot John F. Kennedy, where the shooter was shooting from, so on and so forth. And for almost 50 years, we're completely led to believe a certain thing over another. Who was actually the shooter, how many shooters there were, at what distances, so on and so forth. Again, it was all within the propaganda that they were feeding us of what we should believe. So just remember that. And now when we talk about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, we are being told that they have caught the individual that carried out this atrocity. They have said that they have caught, they have found the evidence within a bolt action 30-06 caliber rifle. They know precisely where the individual, because of video recording, that he carried out that atrocity, where then it was discarded. It was actually his member of his family, his father, who was also within law enforcement, that shared the information with somebody in the marshal's office that then led to the FBI to basically, get a hold of this individual. Okay, that's what we're being told. That's what the road that we're being led down. Now, this is where it's important that the video was taken down out of respect for the family, but that does not allow the general public to see it and see the truth. Now, since 9/11 was remembered yesterday, since 2000, how many of our children have been sat in front of a TV, either in their history classes or so on and so forth, and shown footage of the airplanes flying into the Twin Towers? Is necessarily a scare tactic to allow each one of our kids to believe a certain thing? I mean, it was right there. Planes flew into the buildings. How the buildings collapsed, again, that's all conspiracy theories, so on and so forth, that the buildings were built that they should have never come down. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But the planes flew into the buildings, period. And we have shared that with our population at least one day every single year since it occurred. The public are able to see it from multiple different angles. Is it respect out of all the individuals, the nearly 3,000 individuals that died during the 9/11 attacks? Okay, so now how does this transition to what's going on with Charlie Kirk? The assassination of Charlie Kirk, the videos, the close-up videos of exactly what happened have been taken down. They are part of the evidence within this crime action. So today we're going to get into the angle, the distance, and the location of where the shooter supposedly discharged the rifle in order to take Charlie's life. And we're going to compare it to at least two of the videos that I seen before all the videos were taken down of the damage that it did to Charlie. His body's reaction, the exit wound, okay? That was a very ugly part. That's what most people can't stomach. So if you're sensitive right now to this is something, again, getting down to the truth. Charlie Kirk deserves the truth to be told for his family, so on and so forth. This is not basically telling, our intelligence agencies they don't know what they're doing, okay? This is just things that do not line up. It makes me question is if this was something above a distraught individual carrying this out. Obviously, he probably had the training because of his father being in law enforcement. With all the technology today within firearms, it doesn't take a lot of experience to be very accurate. Okay, the 30-06 caliber is over 100 years old. They can be purchased pretty much anywhere. Now, as a hunter and as a DM within the Marine Corps, I was also shown videos, of course, through training, of the type of damage a 308, a 30 caliber bullet will do to a human body. Easy enough. The gore and the horror attributed to what a projectile will do to a human body. Going back to Charles Hitchcock and so on and so forth, the multiple confirmed kills that he had in Vietnam. I was shown many of those videos, any of them that they were able to, to capture. I know what it will do. As a hunter in the state of Wisconsin, hunting whitetail or other types of game, I also know what different calibers do to animal bodies. Okay? And 30-06 is one of the calibers that I have chosen to use majority of my life for whitetail deer hunting. So I know entrance holes, exit holes, the calibers, trajectories, so on and so forth. I know it fairly well. So let's go over the facts that they're sharing with us right now. So above the line is basically the elevational difference between the shooter being on top of a building and a position of where Charlie Kirk was sitting. Okay? It is a downward flight path. Now the distances from where Charlie was sitting compared to where the shooter supposedly have introduced the shot, they're saying it is anywhere from 150 to 250 yards. Easily obtainable with the 30-06, period. Okay. Even at that altitude, the trajectory can alter about 4 inches with an untrained individual. 4 inches. Okay. Now, if you've seen, obviously, the video, the close-up videos of Charlie getting hit, you'll notice the massive damage that it created on his main artery on the side of his neck. Okay, right here. Now, most people would say that would have been the exit wound, okay, that the bullet traveled through, causing extreme internal damage, which would also have forced Charlie to fall back in the same direction because of the impact and the energy released from that round. Okay? Stay with me here. Now, if we also look at the building, according to footage, many individuals got a hold of this information before the FBI actually released it. There was individuals that, prior to Charlie being shot, they seen an individual running on a rooftop. Okay, so according to what the FBI has drawn out in maps right now, that the shooter was approximately 150, 250 yards directly in front of Charlie. And the trajectory was high to low. Now, with the images that we've seen, obviously, with the exit wound on the side of the neck of Charlie, where would be the entrance wound from a 30-06? Some will speculate that Charlie was wearing a microphone on a shirt right here, that the microphone moved approximately the same time he was being hit. So the energy from the projectile, so on and so forth. Now, according with the elevation of the shot and the angle of the shot, if the exit wound is on the side of the neck, where on Charlie's face or at the front of the neck or the front of the chest is the entrance wound? Now, knowing the calibers of the 5.56 out of the M16 and a 30-06, they impact a mass completely different. 30-06, depending if it's a hunting rifle or a full metal jacket, has enough energy to pass through the target without altering its flight path. It has as much impact and energy and weight to carry straight through. Depending on the projectile, how it's configured, whether it's a hollow point or ballistic tip, they will expand and release the energy on the internals of the object. But the entrance hole and the exit hole will match the flight path of the trajectory through the target. On the videos, the ones that were able to see it before they took them down, you see one impact or one wound on the side of Charlie Kirk's neck. Now, I was immediately brought to attention that this was going on. As soon as the word was out that he was shot, obviously there was individuals from the crowd that had been recording it, that released it, so on and so forth. So I seen 2 or 3 different angles from the front of Charlie Kirk, basically off of his left knee. Okay. Now, my wife immediately asked me, she's like, "Oh my God, that was Gore, did you see that?" Okay. And she already said, "Oh, it was a sniper." It was her initial thought that it was somebody sniping because of the things that we've come to understand with the two attempts on Donald Trump's life. Individuals with rifles at an extended distance, popping off multiple rounds, so on and so forth. Okay? So now with the angle of both the top view of the top of the buildings to Charlie Kirk and the elevation from the top of the buildings to Charlie Kirk, how could the exit wound be on the neck? Wasn't it in and out? Or was it a graze to the point where the projectile didn't go in and then come out? That the projectile actually shaved across Charlie's neck, causing the damage, so there's only one wound. That would be an explanation, that projectile caught just enough of his neck that it severed the artery. Okay? Now that type of round or that type of impact would not introduce enough energy onto a body to cause it to fall back like Charlie did. If the projectile had hit, say, at the front of his neck and traveled through to that exit point, that would have been enough energy to knock him back. If the impact would have been to his chest and the projectile changed direction, which a 30-06 is typically not going to do compared to a 5.56 that will change directions once it hits their target, there is no entrance wound on any of the videos that were being shown before they've been taken down. So a conspiracy here. Is the wound caused on Charlie Kirk? Was it a graze to the point where the bullet caught just the edge of his neck and the entrance and exit wound were the exact same thing? To where it severed the artery, the amount of force going with the projectile past his neck was enough to pull obviously the blood flow and so on and so forth out, and wasn't enough energy to actually cause him to move back, or the cutting or shearing effect of that projectile going across his neck enough to make his neck or his head turn to the side where he naturally fell back. So I, at least to the point where I seen what I seen, and I told my wife once again that it actually looked like it was a close-up assassination. That the wound on the side of Charlie's neck was one direction. It was the impact, entrance wound. That the bullet didn't come out the back of Charlie's neck. That the bullet went in and lodged at his spine. Now that would cause the neck and head to snap together while the blood is flowing out and lodge basically at the spine, sever the spine. That was my initial thoughts behind this, because there was no entrance or exit wound necessarily that could confirm the direction of the projectile. So again, with some of the information that we're being told, does that confirm the high altitude, the distance, the angle of the actual shot? Or is Charlie leaning back, forward from the impact point? Now, once again, conspiracy theory here, which way was Charlie looking when he was impacted? Doesn't line up, right, folks? Unless the projectile made contact with the front, severed it, and came out the exact same thing. So the wound was down here. There is no entrance or exit hole specifically because it's the whole entire wound was the path of the bullet. So again, conspiracy theory here, folks. From the limited amount of coverage that we're able to see, the actual damage that was done to Charlie, and the information that we are now being told within the evidence being collected by our investigative services, does it match the wound? So I'm interested in seeing what the autopsy confirms, to see if that backs up what we're being told by our investigative services. It's not information that the family should have to deal with this. They're within mourning. It's not something that's ever going to go away. It's going to cause our society to change dramatically. But again, something like this occurred 50 years ago. And even now, when you research, if you go right to YouTube, research the assassination of JFK, especially slow motion film. You will literally see the damage that the bullet is doing. Out of respect of the Kennedys, are we cutting off those views, or is it for the individuals of our population to see what that actually does? To remind us what a weapon can do. Were we misled by the CIA to believe who had shot John F. Kennedy? To this day, with the release of the Kennedy files, have we been told any more of the truth? So again, this is not on account of any disrespect whatsoever. It is to confirm what I see with the information I'm being fed, of whether or not I can believe the course and the person that carried this out. I obviously can believe that Charlie is no longer with us. I initially thought, like I said, with discussing this with my wife as where information was coming out, I actually believed that the shooter was somebody close to Charlie, located within 30 yards of him, and utilize a pistol, either 9mm or equivalent caliber, with a fast expanding projectile that would not pass through Charlie. So once again, the very first clip that I seen on Charlie's neck, the impact was in before the blood came out. I believe the wound was the entrance point. I believe the projectile was in his neck. Completely opposite of the evidence that is being confirmed by our Federal Bureau of Investigation or law enforcement agencies. The truth doesn't necessarily matter. Either way, Charlie's gone. But facts, it's up to you. Do you believe everything that's being told to you today? If you were able to see the assassination of Charlie Kirk, is the information we're being told today, is it accurate to the wound that you see occur? From a hunter, from somebody who's been shown multiple videos and actually see what these calibers can do to the human body, that was not, the wound that occurred on Charlie was not from this, in my thought process. More information needs to be released and confirmed to accept that. It's important. We need to know, because the future of our country, the way that our society handles everything, the way that we react to each other, the way that we have an idea of our country, whether it's through pride, patriotism, and so forth, that's dependent on the facts that we're given. So again, I could be completely wrong, but from with my experience and visually seeing what happened to Charlie, I do not believe it was a sniper with a 30-06 that did it. I don't. With all the evidence of the casings with different writings on them, confirmation of him running on the rooftop, I'm probably completely wrong. but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up. Sorry if that upsets any of you. That's just my observation.